What's good, fam? I was reading some articles the other day and it occurred to me that there are a few terms that are consistently brought up but rarely explained. This will be a short one, but hopefully it'll help y'all understand news and goings on about our market a little bit better, because I'm going to explain them today. You're watching Sekidor, and this is a brief explainer on commonly used terms in stock news in the ROK. Now, I don't think there's a need for any disclaimer here since I won't really be talking about any actual stocks, but it should go without saying that any stock news you see online or on TV should only be used as an assistant to your own research and consideration when investing in stocks for yourself. Still, if you could do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe buttons, we would really appreciate it as we try to expand knowledge of our local markets across the web. Now let's get to it. Alright, so a key aspect to any market economy is access to credit on both small and large scales. There are two public banks that cover most of these loans for the biggest players in our economy, the KDB and Exim Bank. Starting with the first, KDB stands for the Korea Development Bank, and they're the government's go-to for direct investment in major companies within the Korean economy. They were originally created to help expedite Korea's industrialization and development after the Korean War, but since then have become an important player in restructuring failing companies like, let's say, Daewoo E&C and Hyundai Merchant Marine, which is now known as HMM. Ultimately, the KDB works as the government's main bank for supporting the growth of new industries and the support of old ones. Next, we have Exim Bank, aka the Export-Import Bank of Korea, aka Hankook Suchuribuneng. It's also a publicly owned and operated bank who provides credit to Korean companies with the main purpose of supporting our nation's export-led economy. For example, it was the Exim Bank that put a lot of money into Korean companies' attempt to spread Korean culture around the world, the Hallyu wave, whatever you want to call it. More recently, one example was the debut of green bonds worth $1 billion earlier this year to help finance growth of South Korean companies' overseas eco projects. Last year, they helped SK Innovation break ground on their second EV battery plant in Hungary with a loan worth about $500 million. Above these banks is the BOK, which is the Central Bank of Korea, and central banks lend to banks who in turn lend to companies and individuals. Their function is mostly to enact governmental monetary policy and ensure financial stability by managing inflation over time. Generally, when you see news on banks financing other companies, unless they're investment banks, these are the ones that you're going to hear about the most. At least the government banks, not private banks. Alright, now I'm going to go over a few abbreviations that'll help you navigate stocks that we see on the market based on sector. E&C is a big one that stands for engineering and construction. This specifically refers to companies focused on construction, engineering, and real estate development. Examples of these firms are Hyundai E&C, Kepco E&C, Lotte E&C, and Daewoo E&C. Next, you have heavy industry, which is a big one for us as well, and that refers to, companies that use heavy machinery or produce heavy machinery. Usually these firms have very high costs and really high barriers for entry. Now, a good example of this is Hyundai Heavy Industries, who is in the business of developing and building ships, offshore engineering equipment, and general machinery production. Other examples are Samsung Heavy Industries and Ulsan Heavy Industries. Jungong업 is the translation, and as of March 29th, Ulsan Heavy Industries has rebranded as Ulsan Enerbility as a way of drawing attention to their focus on sustainability in the energy sector. Next, we have F&B, which stands for food and beverage. That's pretty self-explanatory. SME is one you might see a lot, and SME stands for small or medium-sized enterprise. IT, you're probably familiar with, that's information technology. And then everything else like bohom or insurance, electric or janta, and real estate 부동산, real estate, are mostly self-explanatory, I think. After that, there's bandoche, which is semiconductors, another big one for us. Now, if you can think of any big sectors or abbreviations that I left out, please drop us a line in the comment section below. Now I'm going to go over some very last abbreviations that are unlikely to get an explanation in text, starting with M&A or mergers and acquisitions. This acronym refers to the act of one company buying or merging with another. MOU stands for Memorandum of Understanding, which is effectively a record of an agreement between two or more companies that state an intention to undergo a future line of action in cooperation with one another. That just means that two or more companies have agreed to do something in the future, business-wise. All right, now B2B and B2C refer to businesses that cater to other businesses and businesses that cater to consumers, respectively. Finally, AUM stands for assets under management, or the total market value of a company's investments. Like I mentioned above, there are way more acronyms that you're going to come across over time, but these are the ones that I think that you're going to come across most commonly that aren't really specific to, finance, like PER, PBR, that type of thing. We do have a pretty old video that explains these terms. I'll link that in the top right hand corner right now. If you can think of any other ones that aren't specifically relating to pricing, feel free to drop a line in the comment section below. There's always someone out there that doesn't know something that you know, so it'll be nice to help them out if you could. Alright, that's it from me. I tried to keep it short. Hope this helps. Take it easy. Catch you in a bit.